The Green Bay Packers and Philadelphia Eagles are going head-to-head in the wildcard round this weekend. You want to know if the Packers have a shot at an upset. It's a rematch of their season opener in Brazil. The Eagles won that 34-29.
Yeah, the Eagles are coming in hot as the favorites. They finished the season 14-3. The Packers limped in at 11-6. To understand if the Packers have a prayer, you need to start with Saquon Barkley. He's the key to the Eagles' entire game plan.
Okay, remind me. Why should I care about this asshat? He had a good season. Big deal.
It's way bigger than that. The guy rushed for over 2,000 yards. He practically spit on Eric Dickerson's single-season record. It's not just the yards. He's a total bullshit threat. The Packers need a plan for him.
Hold on. Are you saying he's more than just a running back? I thought the Packers just needed to stuff the run.
Exactly. Barkley is dangerous in the passing game, too. He caught 33 passes for 278 yards this season. He's not just a battering ram. He adds this whole other layer of bullshit that Green Bay has to worry about.
All right. I'm starting to see why Barkley is such a pain in the ass for the Packers. What about their own running back? Didn't Josh Jacobs have a pretty good year, too?
Yeah, Jacobs put up decent numbers, 1,329 rushing yards and 15 touchdowns. But here's the thing. The Eagles have the best defense in the league. They only gave up a measly 278.4 yards per game all season. It's a total nightmare matchup for the Packers.
So you're saying even if the Packers try to control the clock with Jacobs, they're still fucked up against this Eagles defense?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Matt LaFleur, the Packers coach, is going to have to get creative to outsmart this Eagles defense. It's not just about running the ball. It's about figuring out how to play against a team that seems to have an answer for everything.
So basically the Packers are screwed.
Not so fast. Remember Jordan Love and his surprise playoff win against the Cowboys last season? That game showed us what this guy can do when he's allowed to cook.
Wait, are we really talking about Jordan Love as the Packers' savior? The same Jordan Love who has been riding the bench all season.
Hear me out. In that Cowboys game, Love went 16 for 21 with 272 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. He shredded their defense. And yeah, he's been quiet this season. If anyone can pull off a miracle, it might be this pissed-off backup with something to prove.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Even if Love goes supernova, he's still missing Christian Watson, right?
Drew Watson is a big loss. Don't underestimate the talent in the Packers' remaining receivers. Tucker Kraft, Romeo Doubs, and Jaden Reed can all make plays.
So what you're saying is even though the Eagles seem to have the advantage on paper, the Packers might be able to exploit some weaknesses.
Exactly. We've got a classic strength against strength matchup here. The Eagles have a killer defense led by guys like C.J. Marner-Johnson, Darius Slay Jr., and Cooper DeJean. They're ball hawks. They can shut down most receivers. Love has shown that he can step up in big moments. The Packers receivers still have the potential to make some noise.
This is getting interesting. We've got Saquon Barkley potentially running wild for the Eagles. The Packers are trying to establish the run against a brick wall of a defense. Jordan Love is a wild card. What the hell should we be watching for to figure out who might win this thing?
Good question. It's not just about the star players. We need to look deeper into the strategic chess match between the coaches and the hidden advantages that each team might have. This is where things get really interesting. Let's talk about the Eagles' red zone efficiency. They scored touchdowns on over 70% of their trips inside the 20-yard line this season. It's insane.
70%?
Yeah.
Jesus, that's nuts. So basically, once they get close, it's almost a guaranteed touchdown.
Pretty much. They don't fuck around with field goals. They go for the kill. This is where the Packers special teams comes into play.
Oh, right. I was wondering how that was going to tie into all this. Yeah. So you're saying that even if the Packers defense can hold the Eagles back for most of the game, they're still going to be in trouble if they let them get close.
Think of it this way. If the Packers special teams can force the Eagles to settle for field goals instead of touchdowns, it could completely change the momentum. Even a couple of extra field goals could be the difference between a blowout and a nail-biter.
Okay, so special teams could actually be a hidden advantage for the Packers. I like it. But what about turnovers?
Yeah, the Eagles have a plus 12 turnover differential this season. The Packers are only at plus 2. That's a huge difference.
And what does that tell us exactly? I'm guessing that more turnovers are a bad thing, but I need you to spell it out for me.
It means the Eagles are better at taking care of the ball and creating turnovers on defense. They're opportunistic and they capitalize on mistakes.
So basically, the Packers need to play a perfect game. They can't afford to give the Eagles any extra possessions.
Exactly. They need to protect the ball like it's their firstborn child. Any fumble, any interception could be a death sentence against this Eagles team.
All right, let's shift gears for a second and talk about the coaching matchup. We've got Matt LaFleur for the Packers going up against Nick Sirianni for the Eagles. What can you tell me about these two assets?
LaFleur has a reputation for being a bit more conservative. Sirianni is more aggressive. It's going to be interesting to see how their coaching styles clash.
So you're saying Sirianni might take more risks while LaFleur might play it safe?
Exactly. Sirianni isn't afraid to go for it on fourth down or to pull out some trick plays. LaFleur is more likely to stick to the fundamentals.
And which style do you think will be more successful in this game?
Honestly, it's hard to say. It depends on how the game unfolds. If the Eagles are rolling, Sirianni's aggressiveness could put the game out of reach. If the Packers are keeping it close, LaFleur's conservative approach might keep them in it.
Okay, so basically it's a toss-up. Great.
Yeah.
Now I'm even more stressed about this game.
Hey, that's the beauty of the playoffs. Anything can happen.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I still want to know who's going to win. Give me some predictions, damn it.
All right, fine. I'm sticking with my gut feeling on this one. I think the Eagles are going to win, but I don't think it'll be a blowout. I'm saying 27-20 Eagles.
27-20. That's cutting it pretty close. You really think the Packers can keep it that tight?
Look, the Packers are a good team. They wouldn't be in the playoffs if they weren't. They have talent, and they have a coach who can make adjustments. Plus, they're pissed off after losing to the Eagles in week 1. They'll be playing with a chip on their shoulder.
Okay, so maybe, just maybe, the Packers have a fighting chance. But let's be real here. What needs to happen for them to actually pull off this upset?
They need Jordan Love to have the game of his life. He needs to play like he did against the Cowboys last season. They also need to force turnovers on defense and make the most of their special teams opportunities. Frankly, they need a little bit of luck.
A little bit of luck. Sounds like they're going to need a whole truckload of luck if they want to beat this Eagles team.
You're probably right. But hey, crazier things have happened. Remember the Giants beating the undefeated Patriots in the Super Bowl?
Okay, I get it. Anything is possible. But even if the Packers play a perfect game, they're still going up against the Eagles, who, let's not forget, are a pretty damn good team.
That's true. The Eagles have a lot of strengths, and they've been consistent all season. But there's one area where the Packers might be able to catch them off guard.
Oh. And what's that?
The Eagles are vulnerable to trick plays.
Trick plays? Really? That seems a little far-fetched, don't you think?
Not at all. Remember that game against the Vikings a few weeks ago? The Vikings pulled off a couple of trick plays that completely bamboozled the Eagles' defense.
Okay, I vaguely remember that.
Huh?
But are you saying that Matt LaFleur, Mr. Conservative himself, is going to pull out a bunch of trick plays in a playoff game?
I'm not saying he'll go full-on Harlem Globetrotters, but I think he might have a few surprises up his sleeve.
Well, why do you think that?
Because he's got to. He knows the Packers can't win this game by playing it safe. He needs to shake things up, take some risks, and hope for the best.
So if LaFleur can outsmart Sirianni with some creative play calling, and if Jordan Love can channel his inner Aaron Rodgers, and if the Packers defense can somehow contain Saquon Barkley, then maybe, just maybe, they have a chance.
That's about the size of it. It's a long shot, but it's not impossible.
All right, I'm starting to see the light. But even with all that, it still feels like the Eagles have the upper hand.
They probably do, but that's what makes this matchup so damn interesting.
All right, you've convinced me. I'm not writing off the Packers just yet. This game could go either way.
That's the spirit.
So besides trick plays, what else should I be watching for in this game?
I'm glad you asked. There's another fascinating aspect to this matchup that we haven't even touched on yet. You mentioned you were interested in how defenses are adapting to mobile quarterbacks. Well, the Eagles have this disguised blitz package that could really rattle Jordan Love. It could really rattle him if they guess right on his play calls.
Okay, break this down for me. What the hell is a disguised blitz, and why should I give a damn?
It's basically when the defense shows one look before the snap. That makes the quarterback think they're doing one thing. Then they switch it up at the last second and send extra guys after the quarterback.
So it's like a defensive mind game. They're trying to trick Love into making a bad decision.
Exactly. If Love can't read the defense and figure out where the pressure is coming from, he's going to be running for his life back there. Remember, the Eagles have a ferocious front four led by Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave. Those guys are beasts.
So even if Love does manage to pull off some miracles, he's still going to be facing a shitstorm of pressure from the Eagles defense.
Pretty much. It's going to be a trial by fire for him.
Boy.
He's either going to rise to the occasion and prove that he can be the Packers franchise quarterback, or he's going to crumble under the pressure.
All right, let's switch gears and talk about the Packers defense for a second. I know we've been focusing a lot on the Eagles. The Packers defense has to do something to slow down this juggernaut, right?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The Packers defense has been inconsistent all season. They've had moments of brilliance. They've also had some real head-scratching breakdowns.
So what's the game plan here? What do they need to do to stop the Eagles?
Honestly, I don't know if they can completely stop the Eagles. This offense is just too damn good. They can try to contain them and limit the damage.
And how do they do that?
First, they need to find a way to slow down Saquon Barkley. That's priority number one. If they can't stop him, the Eagles are going to run all over them.
Okay, easier said than done, right? Barkley's like a goddamn superhero back there.
I know. But the Packers have to try something. They could stack the box and bring in extra defenders to stop the run. That would leave them vulnerable to the pass. It's a real catch-22.
So what you're saying is there's no easy answer here. The Packers are basically screwed no matter what they do.
Not necessarily. They could try to get creative with their defensive schemes. Maybe try some disguised coverages of their own to confuse Jalen Hurts. Again, it's a risky strategy.
So basically, the Packers defense is going to have to play out of their minds if they want to keep this game close.
That's a pretty accurate assessment. They need to force turnovers, make big plays, and hope that the Eagles make some mistakes.
It's like a long shot to me.
It is a long shot, but hey, anything can happen in the playoffs.
All right, let's wrap this up. Give me your final prediction for this game. Eagles by 1 million.
I'm not going to say by 1 million. I do think the Eagles are going to win this one. I'm sticking with my 27-20 prediction. I think it'll be a close game, at least for a while. Ultimately, I think the Eagles' talent and experience will prevail.
All right, I'm going to hold you to that prediction. If the Packers somehow manage to pull off this upset at Seca, I'm going to personally send you a cheesehead.
Deal, but don't get your hopes up. This is the Eagles' year.
Until next time, goodbye.